Hello everyone, I am Tacit and welcome to the Gems of War Campaign 3, Week 6, Day 7. So today, of course, we got the last week of the last day of the event week. And with it, we have all the spoilers for the upcoming week. And gosh, is there a lot of things happening this week. While the last 2 weeks haven't had as many stuff going on, this basically has all of it going on. Pretty much everything that can happen is happening. So let's start getting into it. So let's start with the event troop and all the normal stuff, and then all the many other things we're getting, with the most two noteworthy things probably being a new mythic and a new faction coming out this Friday. But we're still getting plenty of other stuff throughout the week. Anyways, if the thing will load, let's go head over to the official post and go from there. So, the Magic Mushrooms event. This is a event for the Zacian. As far as the kingdom, this will be a pretty good time to try to get Iron Gut if you want to, off of event keys. There's also quite a few other pretty good goblins that will also be off of the event key drop table. As far as the troop itself, it explodes a bunch of purple gems, and then summons either a giant toadstool or an explode stool, which are actually the two things from their factions that are basically never used, but is technically associated to it. And of course, as in goblin style, it gains a extra turn. Overall, this thing is probably never really going to be used. It does have automatic extra turn to it, so it's kind of like a board clear that has extra turn attached. So in that situation, it might be kind of okay, but compared to other exploders, it's higher mana cost. It's still going to be getting about the same amount of mana. So very situational on if you would actually use it. It might be okay for some AI teams, but even then, it still has a bit of an issue that it doesn't have Empower. So overall, probably not going to be used much. But anyways, as far as the scoring for the events, I believe it was just a straightforward one. I hate when it's not, but oh no, it's still all over the place. Let's see. It is still all over the place. Also, whoever made this graphic, I am very thankful. So the top two have a variable. You'd want to focus on the new guy of Fundingus. That's a funny name. I didn't even realize that was his name. Oh, that's a really funny name. But yeah, you'd want to focus on King Gob Truffle and Fungdingus. The next priority would be on Explode Stool. Then... Wait, why does he have it in that order? Wouldn't... Wait, what on earth is this order? Because Fungomancer would be better then. Sir Snothelm then. Yeah, it says right there, too. Why does he have it in that order, though? I guess because rarity order. We always take Gob Truffle and Fungdingus, Best Epic, Explode Stool, and yeah, so that order. He just has it in rarity order, then. But, yeah, it's King Gob Truffle, highest priority, then Fungdingus, then Explode Stool, then Fungomancer, which is the rarity below, and then Sir Snothelm, of all things, is actually the lowest. So, highest priority, second highest priority, third, fourth, fifth. And the epic Sir Snothelm is actually worse than the ultra rare, which makes no sense whatsoever. Why must they do this? Why must you make this as confusing as possible some weeks? They actively have to go out of your way to make it more confusing too. Like, it'd be easier for them to make it the same way every single time. Anyways. So we got a lot of things to go over here, because there are several things coming out this week. So let's go over the basic breakdown first. So this Tuesday, we got a faction event for the Deep Hive, which is where Beatrix is from, one of the best troops in the game. Wednesday, we got the Goblikin, which if I'm not mistaken is a new Goblin bonus pet. And yes, that's exactly what it is. It's a Goblin bonus, just a standard Goblin bonus thing. Which means it will be back again. Those still make sure to go get it because, yeah, goblins are pretty good. And you tend to use multiple on a team. Not every single team uses multiple, of course, but there are definitely some 3 times, 4 times pretty meta goblin teams out there that could gain a decently substantial benefit from having the little bit extra stats. Definitely adds up. As far as the class event, of course, we got ourselves the class event for Zacian, which is the Thief. Pretty decent hero class all around. One of the better stealthy hero classes. So definitely good to have it upgraded. And of course, this Friday, we have ourselves a brand new faction, which we'll be going over right now. So, as far as actually, I might as well just go over everything with faction now. So, we have 4 things come with the faction. We also have the new mythic. As far as the new mythic, it does the following. If we just go drag this over here and drag that over there. Okay. So, Ironhawk, they did end up nerfing this before it ended up coming out, unfortunately, but it's a mech construct, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the first mech construct in the game. One that counts as both a mech and a construct. It's mythic for Madonna. It was nerfed a bit. It used to be 24 mana cost with 20 Doomskull creation. Now it is 25 mana cost, same colors as Iron Gut, and then it creates 12 Doomskulls, and then explodes magic divided by 2 plus 1 gems. Meaning even if it was webbed, it would still explode some amount of gems, likely causing the whole chain of Doomskulls to explode each other. So this isn't actually a skull spamming troop. This is more so a board clear troop that happens to do additional damage with the board clear. Because with that amount of explosions, even if it was only 1 if you were webbed, which is very unlikely due to impervious, but even if you were, you'd still likely start the chain of all the Doomskulls that are on the board and then trigger all that damage. Unfortunately, they did reduce this damage down to 60, or down from the 100 that it was, but that is what it is in the current state of the game. This is basically like a Gorgoltha that costs a bit more mana, but has more of a damage attached to it. It also has the impervious instead of having cleanse like Gorgoltha does. Generally, you wouldn't use this in first slot. It'd be more of like a second or third slot, and obviously geared more towards a mech team. Could be pretty good with the new weapon that we got this week. So if you still haven't gotten it, you still have like 4 or 5 hours left, 6 hours, to go get the green-blue weapon. It's like 210 gems. If you didn't get it from the event, definitely make sure to go and get it. And it's definitely worth getting it via gems than through crafting material, a lot cheaper that way. But yeah, that weapon's going to be pretty good with this. Probably maybe with a bomb bot and maybe like a, what's that one guy called? The Smasher bot and a few other things. But definitely going to have some really solid mech synergy, and alternatively can also be used as a second or third slot Gorgoltha in some teams. It has impervious, and it has artillery, which is its unique aspect. And it ends up dealing 5 damage to all enemies when an ally casts a spell, and that of course includes any of your allies, not just itself. So if any of them end up getting cast, you will actually get 20 total damage, assuming every single enemy is still alive. So that definitely gets to stack up quite a bit of damage over time, especially if you have a little bit more of a loopier team. And given that this thing already has mana accumulation attached to it, it's going to be pretty decent as well, since that'll make it easier for it to also end up getting more casts for the team, since it will mana accumulate for all 4 of them when it ends up doing its Doomskull thing. Due to the Doomskull creation, it will theoretically accumulate a little bit less mana than something like a Gorgoltha. Gorgoltha is generally going to clear out an entire board already with its base value, just with how high your magic is later in the game. Whereas this thing will do similar, however, it'll replace quite a few of them with Doomskulls, which instead will give you more damage, but will give you less mana accumulation, since the skulls are obviously replacing various mana gems on the board. It shouldn't be too big a difference, but it will definitely technically get less mana than a standard exploder due to that higher amount of skulls on the board. Overall, it has potential, though I hate that they nerfed it. It would have been so much more fun if they didn't nerf it. Because it actually could have probably been usable. My biggest concern with it now is it's going to be so situational that it basically never gets used. But we'll have to see how it pans out as far as what exactly happens with it. But in its current state, I do feel like they might have over-nerfed it. Anyways, other things that we got going on. Let's go over all 4 of the faction troops. For whatever reason, when I tried getting these all to pop out earlier, they did not want to. When we showed these about a week ago or so, or whenever we did it. We did it like one to stream just to explain something. But we're going to go do it again right now. I just need to get them all separated. Okay, good. At least they're all coming out nice and smoothly. Last time we tried showing this, like the first 2 did, and then the rest were like, nope. Oh, I just clicked the same one twice. Where's the... There it is. This one's actually rather interesting, the Legend. The Legend actually has potential, and I would love to see more troops like it come into the game. Which in time they probably will. Okay, anyways, let's start from lowest rarity, work our way up. Okay. So, rare, oddly enough, actually one of the better ones. So this is the Dungeon Dwarf, the Deep Dwarf, I mean, from the Dergaraf, gosh, what is that faction name? Dergaraf. But anyways, as far as what it does, it transforms all green gems to a gem of a chosen color, and then creates a stone block. This is the first mechanic, and I believe the only mechanic from this kingdom, where you can create infinite stone blocks without them net losing on the board. Basically meaning you can get an infinite loop now with almost anything. Stone blocks have an interesting property in that, well, they block the tile. However, if you were to do this enough times and get them kind of towards the bottom, or, you know, just in a way where you still have a decent amount of the board unobstructed, you can essentially just do a small amount of gem spawn onto the board, and due to the amount of board that has been occupied with blocks, you'd be able to go and just get an extra turn at an easier rate. Be interesting to see how this pans out. Obviously, just creating one single block would be ridiculously absurdly tedious to try to set up a board perfectly so you could actually get it down. However, these will have the first instances of troops that have manipulation to the board with the creation of stone blocks. So this is a mechanic that obviously has been in the Underworld since the Underworld has existed. However, at no point have we ever had the capability of creating them or using them outside of the Underworld. But as of this Friday, we will. The options for doing so are kind of average. Like, there's definitely better ones that are going to come out at some point. But it is still technically a new mechanic after all. So we'll see how it pans out. Hopefully we do get other introductions of this mechanic, as definitely has a lot of potential within the game. And there could even become a whole stone block meta formed around it. With these troops that are going to be coming out, I don't really feel like that's going to happen too much. But it's definitely something that can happen into the future. And other than that, he has Stone Link, and I think almost everything here is Fortitude because they count as dwarves. So they, of course, gain the benefit from that. But Stone Link pretty relevant since it feeds into his own. And he gets to also create more gems, which helps him mana accumulate. Anyways, as far as the Darksmith, counts as a dwarf as well. It's green, or no, I cannot tell colors. A yellow-brown. It creates a stone block and then gives magic +1 armor to all allies, or destroys a stone block and deals magic +1 damage to all enemies. So one of those kind of either or mechanics, which is going to be really annoying. And similar to all dwarfs, it does have Fortitude, so it does have all those immunities, which is pretty useful. As far as the epic, the Deep Golem, another one of these golems, ends up exploding a gem and then barrier an ally for each skull destroyed. So you could potentially end up getting a 4 times barrier out of this guy, which is definitely decent. This is another really good way of barriering your team. Of course, one of the earlier game options that you would currently use in the game and throughout the game is Dragonian Monk. However, this would actually be a pretty good alternative to that, depending on what the coloration is of your team. It's still brown focused, but it's really tanky and can still do similar, just with a different condition as to what it does, specifically skulls instead of yellow gems. But yeah, it has potential to be okay. I don't personally feel like I'll be using it much, especially compared to Dragonian Monk or other options that exist later in the game like Dawnbringer. But it's definitely a option for 4 times barrier if you've been looking for something else that you could be using for your team for that. Overall, it is more of an early to mid-game troop, and mostly this is something that you would use for the faction to not die. As, of course, when you're up against higher statted enemies, having an entire barrier so you don't take damage from an instance of damage is going to be pretty useful, and he'll be able to do that for the pure faction. And it'll also be annoying when you fight against it. But anyways, as far as the mythic, the legend, this has the most interesting final trait. So this is the Nair Mel. As far as what it does, it is a 16 mana cost red-purple. It does deal magic +4, true heavy splash being 75% to adjacents, and that heavy splash is indeed true damage as well. So not only is the single target true damage, but the 2 75% are also true damage, basically meaning he's hitting for, what, 250%, you know, the full damage, 100% on the one that he targets, and the 2 75% adjacents, all true damage, meaning it hits directly on HP, of course. And that's boosted by stone blocks at a 6 times boost ratio, so every stone block on the board ends up gaining additional damage. This will mostly be useful for the delve itself, since obviously there's going to when the most instances of stone blocks you're ever going to see is specifically within delves. You're still not really going to be seeing too many, at least in the current state of the game, outside of delves, but it will have that mechanic. And then it also creates 3 stone blocks, so of course this helps. It also, it explodes all stone blocks and then creates 3 stone blocks. So he'll net be able to get the 3 stone blocks. So even if you are on a board that has literally no stone blocks, it will be able to get 3 for 18 additional damage for its second cast. And then it'll also be able to get explosions there. However, for its very first cast, it'll be able to get a pretty devastating value, not just in the amount of mana accumulation it ends up getting from all the stone blocks in a faction, but also from its boost ratio that it gets per every single stone block, as that boost ratio will be taken before it does the explosion. So if there's currently 15 stone blocks on the board, well, it's going to be hitting for What is that? Why did I pick such a bad number? But let's say there's like 10 stone blocks on the board. That would be like 60. Oh, the other one would have been 90. But yeah, like 10 of them would be 60. And it also gets 10 explosions because each one of those, of course, get exploded. As far as his traits, he does have Death Touch, which is not bad. Ends up inflicting Death Mark when it does skulls. If I'm not mistaken, the other thing doesn't have immune to Death Mark, so you could actually use this as a core mechanic to try to kill through the faction. It's obviously very luck-based. However, it is a... it's an instant kill, so it could definitely come in handy. It has Demonic Pacts, a 25% chance to summon an Ancient Horror. On Death, definitely make sure to upgrade that Ancient Horror if you haven't already. Not the absolute best thing in the game to upgrade, but more and more things keep getting the chance of summoning it. And then his final trait. So this, I'm very curious to see if more troops get this into the future. In the faction itself, it's not going to be too useful for the most part. However, outside of the faction, this, and doing similar to other mechanics like barrier, freeze, and such, has a huge potential within the game. It stuns a random enemy when an enemy casts a spell. This with freeze or barrier would be so ridiculously good. Obviously, it with stun isn't horrible. Like, for example, it could stop a Beatrix during its infinite loop from having cleanse anymore, potentially, and other similar things like that. But, yeah, every single time the enemy ends up casting, it gets punished in some way. Currently, we have that mechanic, but it's only like a +1 attack off a Grudge. But this is a pretty good one if they start doing it for various stats effects, because that would make it less likely that you would want to infinite loop against it, which would be a really good infinite loop counter. So I'm really curious to see if we get this for other mechanics like freeze, barrier, maybe even death mark, and really anything, as long as it's a strong enough mechanic. Obviously, something like disease or something would be pretty underwhelming if it could spam something like that. But I'd really like to see what other ones they end up doing for this. Stun's not a bad one, but there's definitely better ones that could end up being used for this, so we'll have to wait and see. And hopefully we'll end up getting them over time. But definitely the most useful one outside of the faction, as per usual, as the legend normally is. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he goes. What's kind of funny is, even though he kind of counters Beatrix's aspect like that too, you could actually use Beatrix on that team, and it actually wouldn't be too bad because of his true damage. But anyways, aside from that, I think that was pretty much everything, actually. Other than mentioning a couple other things with the kingdom. So this place is associated to Karkaroff. Other than that, of course, it has a +2 brown, +1 purple, -1 green banner. Oh yeah, I wanted to go check the weapon. The weapon that we get this Friday. And I think that's the last thing we didn't mention. Where is the weapon? So the weapon that we're going to be getting this Friday. It is drain 2 mana from all enemies. Boosted by stone blocks at a 1/1. Destroy magic +1 gems of a chosen color. That's interesting. So this in Delves is actually pretty devastating. However, why would you want to use a mana drain in Delves? And the amount of setup you would have to do to get it useful outside of Delves in the current state of the game is pretty bad. Because with no stone blocks on the board, it's literally just a 2 mana drain to all, which is exceedingly bad. I feel like it requires too much setup to get it to work. It doesn't even have any good perks either. I'm pretty sure it's just dead content, but if you want to pick it up for the sake of having it, it will be available this Friday. And if you're going for Pure Faction, you get it for free anyways on your way to Pure Faction for how many it'll take battle-wise. Since it's, yeah, you get it off of Tier 4, which is like, well, about 500 gems or so, somewhere around there. But anyways, that's the rundown of all that. If anyone still has any other questions, let me know. Anyways, let me go say hello to everyone. I didn't even say hello yet. Hello, Gustavo. Hello, Cookie. Hello, Tyrion. Hello, Isabel. Hello, Jason. Hello, Lestat. Hello, Nightmare. Hello, John. Hello, Draco. Hello, Jefferson. And hello, everyone else. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, you could theoretically create a stone block in the way of your 4x. However, generally speaking, stone blocks actually increase your chance of landing an extra turn, not decrease. Yes, a small amount of stone blocks would decrease, especially with double converters. It just straight up decreases it. But if you're doing a single mana accumulation onto a board, and you get the stone blocks kind of towards more so the bottom, kind of like how you play Treasure Hunt, where you try to get the vaults to the bottom. If you kind of get the stone blocks kind of towards the bottom, so they're a little bit more out of the way, they actually end up increasing your chance of landing an extra turn, not decreasing. But yes, a very small amount of stone blocks would decrease the chance of landing a extra turn. However, a very high concentration of stone blocks, or stone blocks specifically, moved kind of towards the bottom or to the outer layer of the board, would actually gain a benefit. So, yes, very small amount would make it harder, but a very high amount would make it easier. Because as there's less spaces where the gems can spawn, they have to spawn in a more concentrated area, which of course would increase their chance of landing extra turn, particularly if you're spawning only one singular color, since they would all have to spawn there, whereas the other two could overlap each other and still make it fail quite often. But yeah, Stone Block is a weird mechanic. It definitely has a lot of potential into the future if they add more options to it in the game. I don't feel like anything coming with this new faction is going to be really substantial for Stone Block meta, but it has slowly formed one nonetheless. Also, I got a rid offer today. Obviously, I got it. I'm trying to get those Imperials. Actually, I think we already have enough to make more Imperials. I'm pretty sure we have like, pretty sure I can craft like 3 kingdoms to max right now. Also, if we could just find one more war coin offer, I'll finally have all the war bands, at least until they add more, if they even add more. What am I even looking for here? I'm looking for my writ total. So we have 2 Imperials and 7. So we have enough. We have 9. So we can upgrade 3 kingdoms right now if we wanted to. I have still no clue which ones I want to upgrade. But yes, we do have the ability to upgrade 3, which we might do before next Guild War. We'll see. Well, we do have the enough to upgrade 3 more kingdoms right now. Anyways, let's switch over to Magic. Let's go run through, first things first, Invasions. Don't forget to finish out Invasions and the World Event. Both have about 5 hours left. World Event we finished ages ago. However, I still gotta go claim my orb for Invasions. And hope that's a power. I was gonna say a blue, but obviously the power is the way to go. That is very much neither of those two things. Okay, I'll just clear through dailies real quick. Start with some dungeons. Also, it's Diamond Day, so definitely don't forget to go claim your loot from there. So clear out our dailies, hand out a code, and then most of the time we'll probably farm up quite a bit of factions. I mean, quite a bit of explore. I mean, to go get those shiny tokens. We spent so many of them on Friday when we ended up upgrading a bunch of stuff. How are you getting so many warband coins? They're all from the offers. It's completely RNG based because for whatever reason they made Adventure Board uniform, but they didn't make the daily offers uniform. So everyone gets completely different daily offers always, and sometimes people get luckier than others. Oh, so if you don't have VIP 6, you would technically be getting less warbands over time, just because one of the better offers for it does appear on warbands. I mean, it does appear on the VIP 6 locked area. I've gotten it twice on both. I've gotten 2 off the VIP 6, and I gotten 2 off the free one. Or, you know, not literally free. It costs 100 gems, but, you know, you don't need any VIP to get it. Which means I theoretically only would have gotten 70 plus the 50 that we had. So I would technically only have 120 for 2 warbands if we didn't have VIP 6. Which is still ahead of a lot of people. Some people, like you mentioned, can't even afford the first one yet. But as far as on the free side, we've seen 2 of them so far. And I've seen 2 of both, which has allowed us to pretty much get all of them now at this point. As soon as we get one more offer. It is possible if you do your 3 daily arenas every day that you can get war coins off it as well. It would be 30 war coins for 90 gems if you happen to get it. Obviously, it's completely luck-based if you get it or not. I don't personally run daily arena. And anytime I ever start thinking, like, I should probably start doing daily arena, I'll do it for, like, 2 to 4 days in a row. And then every single day will be completely useless junk that I won't bother doing. And then it's like, why am I doing this again? Because it just keeps giving useless junk. I wish it was a little bit more consistent what you could choose for your offer. Because a lot of the offers are obviously just hard passes that you don't bother spending gems on. So hello, hello DS, hello Bushka, hello Magnus, welcome, welcome, welcome. Also, once we finish out this adventure board, we'll go hand out a code. And then we'll get to that token grind. Gosh, we used 1.5 million worth of souls of tokens last Friday. Which maybe even a little bit more than that. I wasn't even keeping track of exact soul usage. Might actually been closer to 1.8 million. Well, there are a couple good offers. If you're currently upgrading a kingdom that's short on pets, the pet offer is insanely good. And it's actually pretty common as well, if you actually need a pet. But I don't currently need one for one. But that offer's not that bad at all. An Imperial Deed offer is so absurdly good if you end up finding it. If you happen to be interested in buying the color deeds, the color deed ones wouldn't be too bad. I personally skip on those. Ritz one would be pretty decent. It's not as good as finding an Imperial, but it's like double the cost of the Imperial one. But it still leads to the same result, just in a much smaller amount and a slightly higher cost. By slightly higher cost, I mean like double. And what other ones? Obviously war coins, if you still need war coins, which pretty much everyone still needs war coins unless they bought it up. And there's a few other ones here and there, but those are the good majority of the good ones. And there's actually several other ones specifically on VIP 6 that have decent value. However, they are VIP 6 locked. One of the best ones, probably not VIP 6 locked, is that one 400 gem one. That's obviously 360 if you find it in Arena. Because it gives a nice wide variety of keys for 400 or 360 gems. Which both of them is not too bad. The one that gives like a bunch of event keys. Actually, do I have it today? I personally don't buy it because I have more event keys than I could ever use. If you have too many event keys, it's not worth ever getting. But if you still need event keys, it's worth getting. No, I don't have it today. I think you guys kind of know which one. It's actually, I believe, the most expensive offer that's even on the free side, if I'm not mistaken. But it gives you a bunch of various keys for 400 gems, base value. And has a bunch of gem keys in it, has a bunch of event keys in it. And actually has a really positive value. But it's mostly for people that need event keys. Because its value, if you only need the gem keys and glory keys and such, is really horrifically bad. But if you needed the event keys as well, it's really good value. The only problem with that is some people in endgame have more event keys than they could ever even fathom to use. So those offers are kind of bad. So we just avoid them. But if you're still at the point where you need them, they are pretty decent for getting a bunch more. Oh, so that reminds me, did I buy my 10 event keys this week? Sometimes I show it for the video, and sometimes I forget to claim it. No, I already got it. Already got it. Give me the last warband, we're so close. We'll find it eventually. Anyways, let me go get you guys the code. And then we'll go mess around with stuff. If anyone still has any other questions, let me know. We'll save that. Go get you guys the code. Code section. Put that right over there. Put that right over there. Paste the whole thing in. Put it over here so I can get you guys the link. Copy the whole thing, and here you guys go. There's a redeem code you use on gemswar.com for the game code section. Your invite code can be found underneath your settings menu. Whatever your game says right over here is what you'll put in for your invite code. Redeem code is right over there in chat. Just copy paste the random numbers and letters starting with 6 HUD. And give same reward as always: 2 treasure maps, 1 gem key, 200 souls, and 2,500 gold. Of course, only usable on the PC mobile version of the game. There you guys go. Enjoy. And definitely feel free to leave a like on stream, as I'm helping out a lot and is greatly appreciated. Let's see. You somehow magically got a second Catchers to Bold. Nice. No clue how or when. That's funny. Did we have an event for it recently? We might have. Didn't we have an event for it like a week or two ago? Where it could appear as a thing? It might have. I'm not sure. But anyways, what is the Catchers team you use on factions? There's a couple different variants for it depending on the color restriction. But it's Yasmin's Pride, double Catchers into a mana accumulator. That mana accumulator can be like Leprechaun or something similar. Normally you do a Shaman hero class if you're looking for speed. However, sometimes you do a different hero class if you want something a bit tankier. Like a Sentinel, a Titan, or other similar things that don't die. But normally you want to have mana stardom, obviously, so he goes quicker. And then you have a mana generator in last slot so you can feed it. If you're going pure green, though, you tend to kind of use Tulio in there if you can. Just because you can cast that onto green and get a lot of value onto the entire team, including herself. Whereas Leprechaun sometimes struggles a bit to feed its mana back into itself, whereas Tulio does it almost like turn 2, with how much mana it feeds to not just itself, but everything on the team. while also doing the enchant. But it really comes down to what color restriction you're specifically doing and what mana accumulator you prefer using. But that's the basic premise of it. Also, if you don't have Yasmin's Pride, anyone who hasn't gotten Yasmin's Pride, that's actually a good reminder time. But you got 5 more hours. If you want to go pick up a Yasmin's Pride, this will be the last time in, like, all this year, probably. You're going to wait, like, 6+ months before you see this thing again. But Yasmin's Pride, it's mostly used for Catches the Bull. However, there are a couple other HP boost ratio troops within the game where it does synergize decently with. But it eliminates all the armor from an enemy, and then gives all allies life, boosted by the armor eliminated. This has really good upscaling potential in that, obviously, things that have super high armor will give you a lot of HP. So if they have like 300 armor, they're going to give you 100 HP on top of whatever your base value already is for the weapon. So you're going to gain a lot of HP from casting this thing. Obviously, in a standard team, that basically makes your team a lot more unkillable. However, this can be used as a damage option for, of course, anything that has an HP boost ratio. So if something does damage based on how high their HP is, this would substantially increase that amount of damage, which is why it's primarily used with Catches the Bull, as he does have a 2-to-1 boost ratio off of HP, as well as several other stats. But obviously, if you're using it in this synergy, the HP aspect being the most relevant one. But yeah, definitely make sure to get it. It's not the absolute best weapon in the game, though I think it still makes top 10. It's the most defensive high-tier weapon, I would say. Like, out of all the really high-tier weapons, Rope Dart and this are, like, the most defensive. Rope Dart's also the most offensive. Rope Dart just does everything. It's probably, like, the only weapon in, like, S+ tier. Like, ascended above S tier. But, yeah, this is, not counting Rope Dart, that's just broken beyond belief. Yasmin's Pride is basically the best defensive hero weapon in the game, pretty much. There's a few other ones that can kind of do similar, or not similar to what it does, but, you know, similar, like, as far as survivability, but, like Dawnbringer and such. But, it's definitely pretty high up there. Yeah, it takes a really long time for kingdoms to cycle, and sometimes we don't even know ahead of time when the kingdom's going to cycle, because it's not a perfect consistency as to when it will happen. Like, just because we have X amount of kingdoms doesn't mean a kingdom will exactly appear after that many weeks. Also, we did get confirmed last Wednesday. They are planning on adding more kingdoms, which will make the cycles between kingdoms even longer unless they change the format of how that works. I was like, hello, Scout. Welcome. Anyways, let's go change over to doing this. And let's go and do some Explore 12. Get a bunch of grind done. See what shiny tokens we can get today. Hopefully all the niches. I believe we're only 2 niches short, if I'm not mistaken, too. We are so ridiculously close. 2 niches until we can finally upgrade our first mythic or boss troop. So we're pretty much right on top of it. I'm still trying to get it before the end of the season. I think at this point we can. We have 3 weeks. Or sorry, 4 weeks. Because 7, 8, 9, and then 10 is its own week. Yeah, never mind. Sorry, we still have 4 weeks left. Oh, I missed. Oh, never mind. That's still an extra turn. Good. I did that the wrong way. Luckily, the other direction was also an extra turn for it. You forgot the weapon was in Soulforge, you just crafted it now. Yeah, if you didn't pick up Yasmin's Pride yet, anyone, highly advise doing so. Got 5 hours left, and it'll be gone for quite some time. If you have the resources for it, definitely worth considering. Most of its synergies is with more towards late game stuff, but it's still a pretty good survival weapon regardless. And there are a couple low rarity boost ratios for it. Like Bull Taurus has a 1-to-1 split damage for it, and he's only an epic. Did they give an indication when the kingdoms are coming out? Nope. Not a single clue. We know that they're going to happen. We just don't know remotely when. And given that they just announced it, it's probably 2 to 3 years from now. No, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a little bit sooner than that. If I had to guess, probably later this year. Though obviously no official date has been given yet. But if I had to guess when they would start adding new kingdoms, sometime either this summer, like the later half of this year. Like this summer towards the later half, or later this year. That has yet to be confirmed, so that's just probably when they'll do it. Standard is 1 to 5 years. I know, right? Generally, when they announce something, it's 2 to 3 years away, realistically. That's not always the case, but it's the case way too often. That if they publicly mention something, or say they're going to do something at some point, it's years down the line or never. Though that's definitely something that wouldn't be under the never list. Though they did confirm we're never getting a trait stone sync the Wednesday though. Which we kind of knew they wouldn't do, even though they said they were going to plan on somewhat doing it. But obviously they wouldn't. There's too many trait stones in the game. There is way too many trait stones in the game. They're one of the most useless resources in the entire game once you've maxed out every troop. Because they quite literally do nothing. And there's a whole orange orb, or you know, a whole orb in the orb cycle that does quite literally nothing because there's nothing used on. Still waiting for that friends list. I know, right? There was even a button for it in the game that said like coming soon. That was obviously going to be a friends list button, and then it never came. That was in the game, I think, after like 1 year into the game, and it was in the game for like 2.5 years straight or something. And then they eventually removed the button because they were like, yeah, we're not doing this. Still waiting on that treasure hunt rework too. Something they've been talking about for years. They did the arena rework though. But still waiting on that treasure hunt rework. They're probably going to add epic treasure maps. There's like a 99% chance they add epic treasure maps. I'd be more surprised if they don't add it than if they do. They're like probably barely going to touch the normal treasure maps, add epic treasure maps, and maybe like one other change, like add an event for it or something. Or maybe a leaderboard. I do wish Treasure Hunt had leaderboard. It'd be one of the more interesting leaderboards. Like if the PvP leaderboard was the same, or you know, like if Treasure Hunt had the same thing as a PvP leaderboard essentially, or for like what highest score or highest amount of maps in a given week or something like that. Probably wouldn't be much of a reward, but it'd be better than nothing. It'd also allow you to see how well people are doing on a given week for the mode. Because right now, there's no way to really see other people's scores. Oh, sorry, John. I didn't see your question. If there was any other questions I missed, let me know. I have a question. Should you get Obsidious or wait for a better mythic like Possessed King? I personally use Obsidious way more than I use Possessed King. I know some people absolutely love using Possessed King. I do not feel like I use it that often, though. Because Obsidious is a great hard counter to have. It's a really good counter against Beatrix. And it's also good just to have on your Guild War defend days. I don't feel like I've used the Possessed King in a very, very long time. There's a lot of other troops that could do similar to him. And Hero also serves the role with 1 explosion every time instead of 2. And of course you could stack the 2 of them to have 3. But I really feel like I use Possessed King. Obsidious is still a utility troop too. They're both utility troops. But 4 times stun off a single extra turn is very, very useful. I'm taking that even though it dies because we just get the follow-up to kill. Get rid of that just so we don't have to deal with it. And that should be a match. Yeah, goblins will probably have a bonus next week. If I had to guess, it's probably Zacian Goblin. It's definitely Goblin something. Zacian Goblin's the most likely, which will be 20% for pretty much the whole kingdom. Obviously not literally the whole kingdom, but you know, a lot of them are obviously Zacian goblins. Well, all of them are Zacian, obviously. But most of them are also goblins. Yeah, They haven't done the update yet. Normally they do an update in January, but they didn't. Who knows? Maybe we'll get one next Tuesday. Maybe it'll just shadow drop us an update. They said it is a small update though, but they still haven't done it yet. Normally in January, by the end of January, we tend to get an update. If it's not January, it's very early February. And obviously, it's at this point, it's very early February. Unless it's literally just launched right now, which I highly doubt. But yeah, it's likely either this Tuesday or next Tuesday. If I had to guess, it's probably 2 Tuesdays from now. Though there is a possibility it's in 2 days from now. Yeah, it is Iron Gut week next week. Every event key is a 0.1% chance that you get an Iron Gut. Which means you would have to open probably upwards of 1,000 event keys, and it's still not guaranteed. Though, of course, you might need to open less if you get lucky. But yes, Iron Gut is in the event key drop table next week, as well as a couple other decent troops. But Iron Gut's obviously the main thing you're hunting for if you're bothering to do event keys. He's definitely worth saving 4,000 diamonds for if you don't end up getting him next week, though. If you leave next week without Iron Gut, you should probably just save the diamonds for him and get him as your next mythic when he rolls around. Because he's a very useful troop for delving. He can't be used for every delve in the game, but for every delve that he can be used for, he's an absurdly good option. Is Obsidius better than Zippo? Yes, by a mile. Zippo's one of the worst mythics in the entire game. Mostly because he has no synergy currently. Like, Mother of Darkness would have almost been the same category as Zippo. But, Mother of Darkness ended up getting, like, a godlike synergy out of nowhere. Which made her, like, hatchy meta. But, that hasn't happened yet for the, Zippo guy. And it's a lot less likely to happen for him because his ability is just worse in general. Whereas Mother of Darkness already had a decent ability, it just didn't have a proper synergy to make it really broken. And then it did. As far as mythics available this week, yes, I believe Obsidius was the best one. Though, of course, we get in 4 new ones to, next week to go and craft. Or that are craftable, as it is every week. But, Zelapotchly is so bad. Worldbreaker just falls off in the current state of game. And Furnace is pretty decent. And, wait, where's Obsidius? There's no Obsidius here. There's no Obsidius in the Soul Forge. But yes, Obsidius is worth crafting, but he's not in the Soul Forge this week. And Furnace is. Which, he's kind of fallen off in endgame, but he's really good in early to mid-game. The main issue with him is Zugoff does his burn better in many teams once you own Zugoff. So you kind of stop using Furnace once you own Zugoff. However, prior to owning Zugoff, which is a very long time, you're going to be playing the game for at least a year before you own Zugoff. And Furnace prior to that point is actually really good. Especially the earlier in the game you get it. It's even arguably a really good first mythic craft. I've mentioned it a lot in the past as a first mythic craft. And it's still viable for so. Slightly less so in the past compared to like an Iron Gut or something. But it's still pretty high up there as far as getting as one of your first few mythics. Because the sooner you get it, the more powerful it is. It's one of those mythics that over time kind of falls off a bit. But initially is absurdly good. Yes, and Furnace is still worth crafting. It just depends if you plan on using it. The only problem with Furnace is it doesn't really upscale much. So you tend to mostly just use it for PvP and Guild Wars. Like, very rarely is he going to be touching anything else, unless you're using it for, like, really low-level, faction, or, you know, delves and stuff like that. But he's really good for PvP and Guild Wars. from the early game to mid game perspective. It's just the later you get into the game, the less valuable he is. But he has really good upfront value. Mostly because he basically does 3 damage to all enemies per turn, which while you have lower to mid-range stats is pretty solid amount of damage. Because he still has the easiest to apply burn in the game, which will probably almost never change. Because all he needs to do is take a single extra turn and he burns all enemies. And aside from that 12 damage per turn that it does, it also has burn synergies with whatever it does burn boost ratio. Like hero classes with triple damage, Element Grim creating purples, and a few other things it's used for. Yeah, Wild Queen's a pretty good pickup. I use her for 2 out of the 3 guild work days that she could be used for. Theoretically, she could of course be used for all 3. She can backfire occasionally. But the time she doesn't backfire, she's a pretty consistent 9,600 if you have max point. Or, you know, if you have the capability of getting max points. If your guild has all the things upgraded. Oh, you got one from the weekly event shop today, this week. Nice. Yeah, any mythics that are available to use for any events. While it's exceedingly rare and you shouldn't go out of your way to try to get them, there is a very small chance you do get a mythic from it. I've gotten several from it over the years. No clue on the exact amount these days. Definitely a decent handful. I feel like it's been about a dozen or so. Hard to tell the exact number though, since I don't specifically keep track. And next week, it depends what the restriction is, but quite a few of the goblin troops are probably going to be available through it. Possibly even Iron Gut himself. So before you open any event keys, you might want to buy up how far you're going to buy up into the invasion event. Because assuming the invasion event has a goblin restriction of some sort, or a Zacian restriction, you'll be able to potentially have a Iron Gut chance from it. So before you open any event keys next week, you might want to do however far you want to go for invasions as far as buying those packs. Because there's a good chance Iron Gut will be available for it. Obviously the chance of specifically getting him from it is absurdly low. But the chance is not zero, assuming he's available for the event. It just depends what the restriction is, because of course whatever's in the drop table is based on the restriction. And we don't know ahead of time what the invasion restriction actually is until tomorrow. You pull a Tina 9000 from the weekend invasion shop as well? Nice. Yeah, Tina 9000 is really good. It's still the best spell reduction troop in the game, even though there's one that has higher spell reduction. It's kind of like Gorgolfa in that regard. And that there's actually a troop that has higher skull reduction than Gorgolfa. Yeah, Gorgolfa's still the best skull reduction troop, just because the other troop's ability is awful. Gosh, I had syrup with breakfast this morning, and I could still taste the syrup. That taste has lasted for so long. I think it could also be because I haven't had it for a while. I had French toast, which I haven't had for like months. Just because I haven't bothered. I think we're gonna get bagels again tomorrow. I've been in a really big bagel mood lately. And there's a really nice local bagel place. I know New Jersey used to do it like a ton. Especially during college. Let's go take that over. Like, as much as some people drink coffee, I could, like, live off of bagels in the exact same equivalent. See? Let's see. I'll take that over. Come on, we keep getting a rain news. No Nishas, no Anus tonight. Very unfortunate. Wait, 29 people tied on invasions? What platform are you on? Is that on PC Mobile? I don't feel like that'd be on PC Mobile. Normally people don't play nice enough on PC Mobile to get a multi-way tie. There'd be without one person fighting everyone else. Yeah. Yeah, it's on Xbox. I was gonna say. There's normally someone like 10.5 miles ahead of everyone else on PC Mobile for every event. To the point that, I thought that said Isabel for a second. It's Isabella. But there's always someone on PC Mobile who's so far ahead on a leaderboard that realistically no one's gonna touch them. Like this 5 million right here. Wait, is he on both leaderboards? Colton? What? He made first place on one leaderboard and second place on the other. How many gems does this guy have? But yeah, he made first place on, like he overkilled first place on, the world event and got second place on invasions. You know how much time that takes to get that done in 1 week? He had a lot of free time. And a lot of free gems laying around. But yeah, he got first place on one leaderboard and second place on the other. I thought that name seemed familiar. But yeah, he's on both leaderboards. That is some dedication right there. Well, it might take a little bit less time than I'm really thinking, just because once you've bought in that many potions, you're pretty much auto-killing the event anyways. So you can't really compare like the time that you're doing compared to that, because he basically auto one-shots every battle with how much stats he has. So it's not as long as it may seem, just because of how high the stats are from buying that many packs. Let's see, we'll throw that down. Get a flammable. There we go. I was gonna say, why did I take that? We could just take it the other way, but never mind, that works. We actually would have had a spear skull as well at that point. The melting pot, no. I haven't done any fast food place nor restaurant since the pandemic. Fast food I'm deliberately doing because I'm trying to go 1 year without fast food, which the official mark is sometime in February. So I'm probably going to just wait till the end of February because I'm not sure the exact date in February where I kind of started doing it. But I want to go 1 year without fast food, and we're so ridiculously close. Just got to go another month. But I haven't gone to any restaurant nor fast food in an entire year, or almost a year. Give it 1 more month. But I think it has been 1 year without any restaurant. Because the previous restaurant I did go to was Melting Pot in, I believe, mid-January last year. So it's been a year now. The only big issue with, like, restaurants right now is mostly all the shared utensils and everything. Still kind of sketchy. And I've seen the back end of how they clean sometimes. They do not do the best of jobs. Some places do, but not every place. Oh, yeah, it was Super Bowl Sunday. So, yeah, what day was Super Bowl Sunday? That would have been February then. You're right. That's actually amazing that you remembered that and I didn't. But, yeah, that was when it was. Because that's when they did the last deal that I went to. Oh, that was really good. Because it was all you could eat. And I definitely ate too much, but it was wonderful. I tried literally every single one I never tried. Actually, I didn't try the vegan one, though. I probably should have. I was curious what it tasted like, but I didn't go for it. Just because they had so many other ones to taste. I was kind of too stuffed by that point. But yeah, I tried like every single one. And what's rather interesting is the one I was already getting was my favorite of them. Which is kind of interesting. Like even after trying them all, the one I always went for was still my favorite, which was the artichoke one. And it's really light on artichoke. Like I know people that don't really care for artichokes that like still like it. Oh yeah, what's in our chest? 3 Orpheuses. What a generic way. Alright, we gotta get one more chest. I was gonna say a generic way to end. Well, we need to get one slightly less generic. Even if it's worse. Hopefully it's a double Nisha better, though. Hello, Radio. Welcome. I have a lemon story? What is the story of which you speak? You pulled a double Nisha token yesterday? Nice. We pulled one about a week or 2 ago. For the 3rd time. Still haven't seen the triple yet, though. We will eventually. We've seen double 3 times. Oh, yes. I use lemons. Yes, that is true. I do use lemons to clean my utensils at restaurants. I just always have. Let's see. This is mostly because of the acidity of the lemon. That's to kind of wash off the utensils. I'm such a germaphobe. So depending on how they keep the lemons, they could theoretically have some small amount of bacteria on them. We just kind of have to assume they're hopefully kept well. Let's see, I'll take that. Grab our destroy. Do I bring my own lemons? I probably should. But no, I don't bring my own lemons. Though, if you really wanted to be professional about it, you would. Let's see, I'll take that over. Please cast. There we go. Hey, where's that double Nisha chest? I think next battle, right? Come on. This is the final chest we'll take. We'll get something good. Oh, what is this team? It's Flame of Fur or Flame of Fire. If you don't have this weapon, it'll be available next week's Monday. Not tomorrow Monday, but a week from tomorrow Monday. You'll be able to get this weapon. Thrall is just a common. Zugoff is one of the hardest troops in the entire game to obtain, and is required for this team, unfortunately. But he requires 8 power orbs to craft, and he has an instant kill into a skull spam, which is the main mechanic this team uses. And Leprechaun, something everyone has, just a nice explosion. The only hard thing on this team to get is Zugoff. Everything else about it's a pretty easy team. The only problem is Zugoff is so absurdly hard to get. And this team, there's no one-to-one equivalent to what Zugoff does for this team. In Hong Kong, restaurants, they give you a cleaning kit, so you can wash your utensils and dishes before the food. That would actually be pretty nice. Oh, come on. This one's even worse. Oh, we're just cursed to get bad chests today. We didn't get a single Anu tonight. And obviously not a single Nisha. We got like 3 Aranias, though. Better than nothing. Oh, yeah, this team's really quick. Umanif is and isn't like an Zugoff. There's some teams where Umanif can be replaced as a Zugoff alternative. That one that we do, it can't, for the main reason that she doesn't have burn. But yes, Umanif is the closest thing to Zugoff. However, on teams that specifically require the burn that Zugoff does, there's like no equivalent. But anyways, any other questions, anyone? Otherwise, we'll call it a night. We'll be back tomorrow night, same time as always, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 hour prior to now, tomorrow. And then we'll be doing the Chapter 7 tasks, mostly. Going over all that and everything else related to the week. I'll probably have the invasion event, messing around with that. We'll have the video up, hopefully, at some point throughout the day. I'll probably start recording it after I pick up the bagel, so hopefully it'll be up by noon. Aside from that, that's pretty much the game plan. And also, we'll probably stream Fall Guys on like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or somewhere around there. No official date for when the mid-season patch comes, similar to how Gems of War still doesn't have an official date. But I believe Fall Guys does fall on Tuesday as well. Well, the Gems of War isn't confirmed to be on Tuesday, but it seems like the most likely day. I highly doubt it'll be specifically tomorrow. It's probably going to be like a Tuesday, Wednesday drop. But anyways, we'll do that when it comes out. But anyways, guys, I'll catch you later. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your week. We definitely have a lot of things going on in Gems of War this week, that is for sure. Also, once we have more Puzzle Quest 3 news and stuff like that, I'll make sure to let you guys know too. Since they're also, the developers of Gems of War are creating that. I'm still very hyped for that, but they've given us like almost no info. Who knows? Maybe Salty will leak more info on it tomorrow. I highly doubt it though. But anyways, guys, we'll catch you later. Thanks for stopping by. Enjoy your week. Goodbye, everyone.